How to read your opponent like a pro poker player. Imagine you're at a major poker tournament. In the final hand, your opponent makes a huge bet. You have two options: call and risk all your chips, or fold and lose your chance to win. At this moment, what sets you apart from an average player is your ability to read your opponent. In this article, we'll teach you how to analyze your opponent's behavior and strategies like a pro and make better decisions at the table. Reading opponents is a skill that combines observation, intuition, and strategic thinking. It's not just about guessing, it's about understanding patterns and applying logic. We'll break down this skill into actionable steps so that by the end, you'll feel confident in reading body language, analyzing betting behavior, and making smarter decisions. Whether you're a beginner or an experienced player, mastering these techniques will elevate your game. Body language and non-verbal cues in poker. Body language is one of the most powerful tools for reading opponents in poker. Even in online games, players' live behavior can provide a wealth of information. Understanding non-verbal cues requires patience and practice, but the rewards can be immense. 1. Shaking hands. One of the most obvious tells in poker is shaking hands. Contrary to popular belief, shaking hands usually indicate excitement, not nervousness. If a player's hands tremble while making a big bet, they probably have a strong hand. This can be especially noticeable in amateur players who have not yet learned to control their physical reactions. To spot this tell, watch closely when players move their chips to the pot. Pay attention to whether their movements are smooth or shaky. Combine this observation with other tells to confirm your read. 2. Long looks at their cards. If a player repeatedly glances at their cards after looking at them, it often signals they have a strong hand and are planning their strategy. On the other hand, a player who quickly looks away after checking their cards may have a weak hand. These small, repeated actions can reveal a player's comfort level with their hand. For instance, when the flop is revealed, notice whether a player immediately looks back at their hole cards. This could indicate they're checking if their cards match the board. Confident players with strong hands often avoid this reflex. 3. How they place their chips. The way players bet can reveal a lot. A player who stacks chips carefully and neatly often has a strong hand and is confident in their decision. In contrast, a player who throws chips onto the table carelessly may be bluffing. This difference often stems from emotional states, confidence versus frustration or uncertainty. To test this theory, observe how a player's betting style changes throughout the game. Do they consistently bet with precision when strong and sloppily when bluffing? Over time, these patterns become clear. 4. Changes in breathing and heart rate. Another nonverbal cue is changes in breathing. If a player's breathing becomes quicker, they may be excited or nervous. Slow, steady breathing usually indicates confidence. Observing this requires close attention, but it's often visible when players lean back, exhale heavily, or adjust their posture. Heart rate is harder to detect, but clues like pulsating veins on the neck or temple can reveal heightened excitement. Professional players often wear scarves, sunglasses, or hats to hide these signs, so it's essential to consider other tells alongside this. 5. Defensive behaviors. Many players exhibit defensive behaviors in high-stakes moments, such as touching their face or covering their mouth. These actions often indicate an attempt to conceal information. For example, a player covering their mouth might be suppressing a smile after receiving strong cards. Other defensive actions include crossing arms, leaning back, or adjusting their clothing. While these behaviors don't always indicate a specific hand, they signal emotional discomfort or heightened focus. Analyzing betting patterns. Body language is just one piece of the puzzle. Analyzing betting patterns is often even more crucial. Players unconsciously create patterns in their gameplay, and recognizing these can give you a significant advantage. 1. Small bets. A player making small bets may have one of two intentions. Either they want to see the next card cheaply, likely with a mediocre hand, or they're trying to mislead you into thinking they're weak and setting up a bluff. Distinguishing between these scenarios requires context. Consider the position of the player. If they're in an early position and betting small, it might indicate caution. However, if they're in a late position and everyone else has checked, a small bet could be a strategic bluff to steal the pot. 2. Large bets. Large bets are usually made for one of two reasons. The player has a very strong hand, or they're trying to intimidate you into folding. In these situations, it's essential to consider their other behaviors. For example, if a player suddenly changes from making small bets to a large one, it could signal a strong hand or desperation. Analyze their past actions to determine which is more likely. 3. Speed of decision-making. Decision speed is another significant clue. A player who bets quickly often has a pre-planned move. Conversely, a player who takes a long time to bet is likely evaluating their hand and may have a weaker position. Quick bets might also indicate confidence, especially if they're consistent with a player's usual style. On the other hand, deliberate actions often suggest uncertainty or bluffing. 4. Comparing bets in different situations. For better analysis, compare a player's bets across different scenarios. Do they always make large bets with strong hands? Do they place unusually small bets in risky situations? Recognizing these patterns can help you predict their moves. For instance, a player who bets heavily on the river after checking the turn may be bluffing or attempting a semi-bluff. Contrast this with their usual river behavior to assess their likely intentions. Combining body language and betting analysis. The most effective poker players are those who can combine body language reading with betting pattern analysis. To do this, you need to pay close attention to details throughout the game. 1. Matching patterns. Look for matches between behavior and betting. Does a player with trembling hands also make a big bet? This could indicate a strong hand. Alternatively, a player exhibiting defensive body language while betting small might be bluffing. 2. Testing with bluffs. To validate your observations, occasionally bluff and observe how opponents react. This will help you refine your understanding of their patterns. A player who folds quickly to a small bet might be cautious, while one who re-raises could be confident. 3. Mental note-taking. Throughout the game, make mental notes of opponents' behaviors and betting patterns. This information will be invaluable in later hands. Use these observations to build a psychological profile of each player at the table. Practice and implementation. To master these skills, you need practice. Here are some exercises to help you improve. 1. Watch professional games. Watch videos of professional poker games and focus on players' behaviors and betting patterns. Try to guess what cards they might have. Pay attention to how pros handle their tells and adjust their strategies accordingly. 2. Play with friends. In friendly games, practice observing and analyzing your friends' behaviors and share your findings with them to refine your skills. Use these games to experiment with different strategies and note which tactics work best. 3. Use training apps. Several poker apps and software tools can help you sharpen your analytical skills and recognize patterns more effectively. Look for tools that offer simulations with detailed feedback to improve your decision-making. 4. Self-review. Record your own games and review them later. Analyze your behaviors, betting patterns, and decisions to identify areas for improvement. This exercise helps you recognize your own tells and refine your strategies. Reading opponents is one of the key skills in poker that can make a huge difference in your results. By learning body language, analyzing betting patterns, and combining the two, you can become a more effective and strategic player. Remember, consistent practice and attention to detail are the keys to mastering these skills. Now it's time to apply these techniques in your games and see the results.